again, thank you guys for checking out the video. Hey, Jordan Aubrey here, real estate investor done right. Today's topic for discussion is going to be PPP. Obviously, the SBA just rolled out this, and they had up to 2 weeks to get it out to us for small business owners. Some of you guys are going to be able to qualify. Some of you guys not necessarily, and that's a good thing, right? And for the people that's not going to be able to qualify, that do qualify, it's a good thing. Here's help is on the way, right? So I want to talk about this. Obviously, I talked about the renters and the landlords, where we stood is that from that standpoint. But here's another opportunity for you to go grab some money, and it's a central loan. Obviously, real estate investors are notorious for loans because it's OPM, other people's money. It's an opportunity for us to go use other people's money to leverage and do some things we want to do inside our business. So with that being said, here's another thing that's going to unfold now. First and foremost, I need you guys to understand what's rolling out, or what's being rolled out is primarily the same that rolled out in March and April of last year, right? So those are some things that you can expect. It's really going to be the exact same as it was before. So not a lot of changes here, but there are some changes, and I want to make sure I go over them with you. But for the most part, it is for small business owners that took a loss compared to the time before. So this is very, very big. I believe in the first round, Philadelphia alone got about $10 billion. Just that region got about $10 billion and saved 700,000 employees from being laid off. So right, this is what's needed for the field. Obviously, there's a lot of people that have been laid off. A lot of people have found a job up until this point. A lot of people probably still on unemployment or trying to figure it out. But up until this point, it's needed for the economy to stimulate the growth of the economy. So I know Biden has talked about putting another $2,000 out there, or 2,000 stimulus check for everybody, so they don't have to not worry about food and rent, so they can get both in one package. So we'll be seeing that coming out. I know a lot of stimulus checks are rolling out, but this is for the SBA, the PPP. This right here is supposed to keep the hard-working American a job. It's supposed to give them a job. It's supposed to allow them to keep going. So that's what we got with this, and it's much needed. As we can tell, the first round, they saved a lot of businesses from going under because they had the money to pay the staff and keep people employed. Even if you look at the airlines, everybody taking a pay decrease. Even if you can take a pay decrease and still have pay coming in, it puts you ahead of a lot of other people. So definitely, this is some good stuff right here. I love this, and it's very, very much needed. Okay, so one thing that actually changed is that the amount of money that you can actually go get has changed. So it went from $2 million back in March, $10 million back in March. Now it's down to $2 million. So that's one thing that you can definitely look out for. It's not as much money, but I don't know too many people that's employing over 100 people or 200 people, right? I think the cutoff is 300 people, if I'm not mistaken. I reiterated that. If I come across it and it's wrong, I definitely correct myself. But I believe the cutoff is at 300 people, and you can't go get $10 million. Now, what they're going to be basing it off of? They're going to base it off your revenue from 2019 this year. And essentially what they're going to be doing is saying you're going to get 2.5 months per whatever your monthly revenue is. Whatever your monthly payroll is. So if that was $10,000, you should get a check for 25 grand. Now, what is changing? You can't get as much, but what's staying the same, is going to be the interest rate. It's still going to be at 1%, and it's still going to be over a 10-year fix. So puts you in a great position to be able to go get that money and actually pay it back at a slow wage, right? In 10 years, hopefully this thing will be passed over. 25 grand in 10 years at a 1% interest rate. That's pretty easy to pay back for a business, right? So that's one thing you got to look forward to. So number 3 thing you need to know is the payroll, right? The core expenses in the business is still forgiven or forgivable, right? So as long as you're using this money towards payroll, towards rent, towards mortgage, whatever it is that you're doing that's incurred, that's happening every month, regardless you bring a dime or not, those are still expenses that we need to be talking about. I wouldn't say marketing is inside of that, but some systems that you may have lined up in your business, like I said, payroll, rent, internet, office furniture, office space, obviously computers, whatever the case may be, things that you need on a daily basis. You can spend that money on those type of things and actually have it forgiven. So just make sure 60-40, allocate that towards payroll, allocate towards whatever you got going on in your office, your monthly business spending, and just make sure you're spending that. And I would advise you to just go ahead and open up a separate bank account. That way it make it easier for you to track these dollars. Don't have it going to this main thing where money is known to just fly in and out. Don't have it going into that bank account. Make sure you put it in a bank account that you can pull payroll from, that you can pull needed expenses from, and make sure that everything is taken care of. Whether you incur a dollar or not, you still got the money sent to the side, and you got track record of knowing where every dollar went because it's coming from a separate bank account. So that's one thing that you need to do. Number four thing that we need to look for is that employees, like I said, it's down from 500. So back in February or March, it was at 500 employees. Now it's no longer 500 employees. And here's another thing, big kicker that just happened. You have to show a loss with the quarter, during the quarter of your business, right? That's why it's very important to know what the numbers are, what's coming in, what's not. You have to show at least a 25% loss compared to 2019, that same quarter compared to 2020, right? So we take 2020, if you only made $70,000, but in 2019, in the third quarter, you made $100,000, right? That's a 30% loss. That's going to let you know if you still qualify for PPP. So, right, you need to make sure you can look at that for 2019 and 2020. 2019, you had to make more money, and you had to take a 25% loss in 2020. Like I said, just to clarify, 70 grand in 2020, 100 grand in 2019. That's going to put you right there. And if you don't know, go to your bank. Let them, I say if you don't know, but if you can't prove it, go to your bank, look at your bank statements, figure out how you're going to be able to get that money, because it's very important. Not everybody can get it. And even companies that was established in February 2020, right? They can go out and get this money as well. I don't believe before that you could, but I believe companies established in 2020 can go out and get this money. So let's talk about forgiving, right? So there's some things going out, some new things that's going out with if you can be forgiven. Essentially, the good thing about PPP is it allows you to be forgiven and allows you to forgive the debts. But the good thing about it on this one is that as long as it's under 150,000, most likely the debt will be forgiven. It's not big enough for do anything else with, but they will make sure they take care of you and make sure that debt is forgiven. So that's one of the biggest things that we're rolling out right now, the forgivable process. If it gets more, obviously it's a long 1%, 10 years, but that's still very, very cheap money. So definitely forgiving is the way to go. So this is one of the biggest things. There's more expenses are covered in the forgivable portion. The good thing about that is that the riots, I remember a lot of riots going on, and a lot of businesses that was in great areas was incurring all these costs with no insurance, wasn't doing anything, right? A lot of that can be written off and forgiven. Thank God. Thank God, right? So with that being said, that's something that can benefit you as a small business owner that you can actually look into and actually say, okay, I incurred that expense. Now we can forgive it, right? We paid it up. I got my money back. Same thing with any type of business that had to do something because of COVID-19. They had to make the adjustments to stay up and open, right? The businesses that had to go get the plastic so the customer wouldn't be able to talk to them, whatever the case may be, or the customer wouldn't have that. You have that barrier between you and the customer. That was something huge. A lot of people incurred, a lot of people closed down seating, whatever the case may be. So a lot of those expenses that was needed to take the necessary precautions because of COVID-19, the mask, all that stuff is now forgiven, which is a good thing for you. And any kind of economic protection over yourself or whatever the case may be, it's forgiven. So that's a good thing for you. So here's the people that's in the restaurant industry. Anybody that's in the restaurant industry, you can actually go get 3.5%, where everybody else can get 2.5% of their monthly payroll, right? So like I said, compared to your payroll in 2019, 2020, you can go get 2.5% or whatever that is. So if your payroll was 10 grand, you can go get 25,000, right? So if you're a restaurant and your payroll was 10 grand, you should be able to go get 35,000, which makes it a little bit easier for you. Obviously you need it. You got hit the hardest. You probably went through more plastic inserts or whatever you want to call it. You had more changes due to COVID-19 just to keep your doors open. So this is a good thing for you guys. I'm happy for that. But that's one thing that you could be able to get with the PPP, which is great. So here's the last one, not least. You have to be in a low income area to get some of this money, right? So they got billions set aside just for the low income area. So any poverty level was below 20%, you can go out and get this money with no problem. Obviously, you're probably gonna be the first ones that's getting it. So that's one big thing that you need to look out for, because essentially, if you live in a nice area or your business located in a nice area, it's probably gonna be harder for you to do it. But essentially, it's just 20% of your area is considered poverty, right? 20%, not a lot, but it's 1 out of 5. 1 out of 5, if there's a lot of poverty there, you probably have an opportunity. If it's a lot of affluent neighborhood, a great neighborhood, it's probably gonna be harder. But if you're in a bigger city, it's gonna be easy, because a lot of people in the big city, even though there's a lot of people that's doing good, but there's still a lot of areas where there's some rundown places. So definitely keep that in mind. That's one good thing that you guys got to look forward to. So those are the 8 things you need to know about the PPP. Right now, it is open right now. Smaller banks are getting started right now. They started on Monday, actually. So if you're near a smaller bank, definitely go out there and get them together. Because typically, if you bank with a smaller bank, they're going to be rolling it out. If you bank with a larger bank, it's going to be rolling out a little bit slower, just because last year around this time it was a mess. Or not last year around this time, but it is 2021. So last year around this time it was a big mess, and a lot of people was going and fighting for the money, but it was just chaos for a couple of months. So instead of having chaos for a couple of months, what they're going to do is roll it out slowly. So if you bank with a smaller credit union, you're able to go put out the application, and then they're going to work their way up to the bigger corporations, because obviously that's where a lot of the money is going to be coming from. So they're trying to make sure, last year it dried up very quick for the small person. So they're trying to make sure any small business that's doing business with these smaller banks can go get that money and not see as big of a hit as they did the year before. So that's definitely good for everybody involved. So I just want to make sure everybody got that. And if you need any updates, just drop questions below. If you're looking for real estate investor information, obviously I got a plethora of videos. I'm dropping some more. I'm making some more content tonight just for you guys. But I want to make sure you guys are taken care of. So if you got any questions for me, definitely let me know. Thank you for watching up until this point. And hey, always remember, keep winning.